welcome back to the Whatnauts review show number 218. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how are you?
Hello. I'm doing fine today. How is Kyle?
I'm doing all right. I got my smoothie, and I am ready to go this morning.
Big smoothie.
Big smoothie indeed. Is that the necktie that you bought when you were down here in Oklahoma?
I bought a delicate little neck scarf like I'm an old stewardess. From the time when truly they did call them stewardesses and not flight attendants.
Right, yeah. Yeah. But it has all of these little smiley faces on them. It looks nice. Looks nice. It was good fun story.
I welcome all the listeners aboard to Review Show Airlines. Here's your small package of pretzels.
Cool. Well, if you guys did not know, here on the review show, each week we have a different story to talk about. Could be a movie, a TV show, comic book, anime, manga, all sorts of stuff. We read it, we watch it, we come back here and talk about it. This week, we are talking about a Netflix movie called The Gray Man, directed by Joe and Anthony Russo. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Joe also helped to write the screenplay. This is adapted from a book by the same name, and the movie came out not too long ago, just a couple weeks ago-ish?
I think so.
Yeah. So, brand new movie here in 2022, brand new on Netflix. I remember seeing the trailer for this one in Netflix Geeked Week. Or that like extended clip that they showed, and I was like, "Ooh, this seems interesting. I could be. You could probably catch me watching this at some point, right? Yeah, sounds good."
As MCU fans, it feels almost like we were assigned. We have some sort of responsibility. We must watch the Russo brothers direct Chris Evans again.
Right. But that said, I still also haven't seen 21 Bridges. So like that, if I've been assigned this movie, I feel like I failed the assignment for 21 Bridges because I still haven't seen it.
Did they just produce that one? In which case, then it's bonus credit. It's not directly on the syllabus.
But even still, like that's kind of how it was marketed. It was just like, it's the Russo brothers and Chadwick Boseman. So, oh well. One day I'll get back to that one.
Yeah. You will cross the bridges.
I certainly will. All of them. All 21 of them. I'll be like, I'm here. I'm watching it. Good stuff. But yeah. The Gray Man here on Netflix. Melissa, what were you expecting going into this? What were your thoughts on this now that you've watched it? Where was your head at?
This was one of my efficiency picks. You pitched, I think, a handful of just streaming movies you went and found. You just went to like the What's New page on various services and was like, here's 3 films. And I picked this one because, again, like I said, I felt like I ought to check it out. So making it a review show topic was just, killing 2 birds with one stone. It was just efficiency. And I had seen the trailer. I thought it looked like a solid action thriller. And I really loved the logo. It had these like sort of chunky Saul Bass letters. It had like lines on it, like it was a target or like it was the graduated lines of a gun barrel or something. Sure. It looked really cool. And I didn't see the sort of mid-century spy thriller flavor of that logo in the trailer, but I thought maybe it's in the film itself. And I don't know if it necessarily is in the film itself. And also I didn't see that logo again. I miss it. Where'd it go?
I'm pulling it up on screen. Yeah, and it's just this like I don't know if I'd say Saul Bass letters, but they do have a similar like more standard font version of that where there's these like concentric circles that seem to be like maybe like it's not a spiral, So it's not like the inside of the gun.
Right. Yeah,
barrel,
it's not like a
it's,
James Bond.
Right, but it still has that flavor. So I can see that, yeah. But cool. Interested in all that stuff. Yeah, it's. I was thinking about this, and as I was watching it, yeah, it very much was like, oh yeah, this seems like their James Bond, their Mission Impossible, like that kind of stuff. It seems like they might be trying to build a franchise off of this. I know, according to the Wikipedia, Ryan Gosling will reprise his role in this sequel, and it sounds like there's a spinoff that's supposedly in the works too. I don't know what that means exactly, but I enjoyed this a lot. I had a fun time. I think if you need a good action movie to check out, this is one to check out. It's pretty standard though. I don't think this did much to surprise me. But it was very good. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Solid, reliable.
Exactly. Man, this movie moves a mile a minute.
It's so fast.
There's a lot that happens in the movie. There's a lot to kind of decipher between, like, okay, what is the plot? What's actually happening here? It's not confusing or stuff like that. It just moves constantly. And I liked that, but I also, that might just kind of numb some people of just like, okay, it's just going to be constant action. But it's good. I say check it out.
I felt a little numbed. It might be because I inadvertently took a nap when I got home from work on Friday afternoon. And then I woke up and it's like, I've got enough time to watch this before we go record Captain's Log. I should use my time. So I was in that just woken up from a nap state when I started this film. And I don't know if that was the best way to do it.
Who am I? Where am I? What mission am I on?
Is the mission impossible?
Right.
How can I do the mission? I was listening to a podcast, a film podcast the other week that was talking about how modern movies are edited together so quickly. Well, not that the process of editing is necessarily done hastily, but that there are a lot of very quick cuts in contemporary films. And this is the first movie I've watched where I think I really felt that. This is a movie that shows you a lot of really interesting set pieces, but I never felt like I was really immersed in any of them because there were so many quick cuts. There weren't a lot of it was a movie that didn't seem like it wanted to linger in any one particular place. And it's like, no, I would like to linger here. You picked a very cool set.
They heard that
hang out here for a bit?
Yeah, you have to let it linger, and they dared to say no.
We've answered the Cranberries immortal question, and it is no.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that was something I noticed too. It doesn't really stay with one particular set piece or scene for very long, which can be seen as a downside in a couple of different reasons. I think if you're wanting maybe a little bit more character moments, those slower things where you get to sit with who these characters are and what their personality is. This doesn't really have that. However, there is an emotional heart to this movie. There is a relationship between two of the characters that I think is meant to be the heart of this film. And I think it's successful enough. I will say that. I think it worked, but would have liked to see more of that. But it's still so good, so good. Good film. It's good.
Yeah, good times had by all.
Exactly. Do you have any other kind of? I guess we should kind of do a synopsis. Before we go into spoilers and stuff like that.
Ryan Gosling is in jail. Billy Bob Thornton comes to him and gives him watermelon bubblicious gum, the best gum. And I'm happy the movie knows that.
Good film is good.
Right? Best gum taste in a motion picture this year at the Academy Awards. And he says, "You're very skilled. And we want to, like, you would, I think this is a flashback. He's in his early 20s. He would be in jail for like another 30 years. He's like, we want you to work for us, for the CIA in the secret, clandestine hitman assassin field. You're going to work for us for the rest of your life, but you'll never go back here. And we will make good use of your skills. Like, we will value you as one of our employees." He agrees to this, and he's out doing these assassination missions all over the world. Back to the Russo brothers, like big middle of the screen, large blocky letter chyrons, which I do like to see.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And he finds out that one of the missions he's on is to assassinate another one of his gray men, another one of his number. And he finds out that that person was investigating some shady dealings by one of the higher up. So the classic, I have to fight somebody within my own organization. This goes all the way to the top.
Yeah. Though to make clarification, the way I read this is that the gray man was the one who was not a part of the organization. This is the one who's not the. Yeah. So
yeah, like you're not really on the books. Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah. Whereas they are, I guess, technically on the books. They're a part of that Sierra unit. But yeah, if they need to like get rid of someone in the Sierra unit, because again, like they said, they can't really send them back to jail or do stuff like it's like, hey, there's this other person who's outside of the agency, who's not affiliated with any government organization. He is just a mercenary, basically, that we will hire him to take you out if we need to, because he's in this kind of morally gray area.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, as Ryan Gosling is kind of discovering some of the corruption within his own unit and stuff like that. It's not like unit is a weird word because they all work solo.
Yeah.
But there is still a team behind him and stuff like that. The men and women in the chair, right?
Yeah, like you may work solo missions, but like you've got a point person, you have teammates, you know that there are more of you.
Yes.
He's not surprised to learn he is the only gray man.
Yeah. Well, again, that's the thing. I don't think the Sierra team is the gray man. Like that, like that's at least how I read the thing, is that Chris Evans' character, who is not affiliated with them. He is the gray man coming in.
No, Ryan Gosling is the gray man.
Well, there you go.
This movie, I really wish it laid out like an organizational chart, instead like what the lines of command are. In that opening scene where Billy Bob Thornton is interviewing him, like offering him this job, I would have asked, like, I wish I had a sense of how often do you do assassinations? Is this all the time? What is your downtime like? Did they give you a place to live? Are you able to like go out to a ball game or something in your downtime? Yeah. What is your life when you're not doing this? And there's really no sense of that. And I wish I knew the company culture a little bit more.
Sure. But yeah, so as Ryan Gosling is discovering this corruption and this conspiracy within the Sierra unit that goes all the way to the top, then all of a sudden there's this other guy that's after him that apparently the department has now hired to take him out. And so it is this like almost game of cat and mouse between Ryan Gosling's character and Chris Evans's character to destroy one another here, which is fun. Good, clean, explosive
destruction fun,
family fun. Yeah. So yeah, that is what this movie is about. I say we take a quick break for housekeeping, and then when we get back, we will get into spoilers and start discussing the film more in depth, and maybe we can straighten out who the Gray Man is.
Maybe we're all the Gray Man. Right. Maybe it's you and me.
Maybe the Gray Man is the friends we made along the way. Good stuff. We will be right back. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/thewhatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and a thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/thewhatnauts. And we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you'd like to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. And we are back. A big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for supporting us. It means a ton. We appreciate it. Cool things that we've been up to here at the Whatnauts. Of course, last week here on the show, we covered the Muppet movie. Melissa, you and I were live in person here in Oklahoma City at my studio. We got to meet.
It was right there
for the first
time.
Live
in studio with the Street Sharks, with the Mask of the Phantasm poster.
Yep, indeed. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, we didn't just randomly meet up for episode 217 of the review show. You came down to celebrate episode 200 of the Captain's Log, which is one of our other podcasts. And yeah, we had a blast. We got to show you around the city, go to all sorts of stuff. We recapped that, I guess, now 2 weeks ago on the Captain's Log. The new one will be up soon. We had crossplay this past week in which Ignacio and Alan got to talk about Digimon Survive and whether or not it is a good Digimon game, good Digimon content. Where does it fall in the spectrum of Digimon? All of that stuff. They are big Digimon fans.
Oh, yeah.
So they had to talk about that. And speaking of Digimon, Melissa,
I want to say there was an episode where both of them came on here, the review show, maybe around this time last year, and we watched the Digimon movie, the one that came out here in America in like the year 2000. And all of the original Japanese like specials and mini movies that were edited together to make the American Digimon movie. It is a deep, intense, contentious conversation. And recently on my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, a show I do with my brother Jams about weird old kid shows you feel like only you remember, Ignacio joined us to talk about Digimon Tamers.
Yeah, so go check out Saturday Morning Obscurities. Good
right.
stuff.
There's so much Digimon content you can listen to.
There really is. It's out there. Cool. Well, that's about all the housekeeping for right now. I guess the last thing I will say is keep an eye out for our reactions to She-Hulk. That will be coming soon. So there you go. That's housekeeping. Let's get into spoilers. So who is the Gray Man? Melissa, you read this as Ryan Gosling is the Gray Man. Let's start with that, because that like immediately right off the bat was just like, oh, you read this as he was that. I read this as Chris Evans was the.
Now remember what I said, that I just woke up from a nap and then I watched this movie. So
Where am
this
I?
might not be about ambiguities and like different layers of meaning and symbolism within the film. I might have just not paid enough attention.
Yeah, because I read it as, because Chris Evans' character is not affiliated with the Sierra team, with the CIA, like all that stuff. He is this person in this like legal gray area. I mean, well, right. Like if he gets caught, like they're not gonna be like, oh yeah, we know him, we hired him, here's our paper trail. He is this guy that's kind of working outside of this world that will just do what needs to be done, no matter the rules, no matter the red tape, no matter the kind of moral just like he is in this gray spot where he can do kind of whatever. Maybe he does a bad thing, maybe he does a good thing, we don't know. But they called him in to take out Ryan Gosling's character. So that's why I was like, oh, like that is the gray man coming for. I need to figure out his name here.
Ryan Gosling. He's just called Six. I don't know if we ever do get his original given name.
Six. Okay. Yeah. Where does it say? I felt like I saw something where like they mentioned what his actual name was, but I remember where I read that. I don't know. So yeah, we'll keep calling him Six. And then Chris Evans, of course, plays Lloyd Hansen. But yeah, just like it felt like, yeah, just it was like he is this kind of looming gray cloud on Six's whole, like, what is happening here? Is there some kind of conspiracy? What's going on here? So that's how I read the film there, but yeah, they don't spell it out like, oh, his code name is the Gray Man or
I don't know if there is a literal
right. Yeah,
I don't remember if anybody said the phrase Gray Man or not. I should have watched this movie when I should have made like a coffee, gone for a jog beforehand,
gotten a smoothie or something, right? Yeah, like because I can see if you want to make an argument for Ryan Gosling being the Gray Man, I can see that too. Like he is also. It's interesting because we were talking about how fast this movie just moves right along. And yeah, the opening scene is Billy Bob Thornton's character recruiting him from jail. And he's like, you're special, kid. You got talent.
Yeah.
To me, that scene was really strange because this guy's been sitting in jail for 8 years, murdered his father when he was real young to protect his brother. That's the only kill he's ever really done. And they're sitting there like,
true.
You're talented, kid. Good God. Wow, we really need you. And it's just like,
that is something I thought about later, because you don't know what crime it is that landed him in jail. And later you learn, that he did have this abusive father who would like burn the kids with cigarettes and like he would throw them in the pool, just trying to toughen them up very intensely. And you learn that he had a little brother, and that's why he shot his dad. Because he's like, I think it's going to be him or my little brother. I am just killing him now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't learn that until much later in the movie. Yeah, but then you do go back to that original scene. It's like one kill?
yeah. But because then immediately after that, and it starts into like the first big like action set piece, like he's on a mission. He needs to assassinate someone by like using these heat sensors to see the person like 2 stories up and shoot a insane stuff. But they're sitting there like, oh yeah, he has this uncanny knack for like doing these missions. And sure, like I don't doubt that. But it was also just like, yeah, it's strange that they like had no skills before this, and still they were just like, yeah, oh my God, you're so talented. Wow.
I understand what makes him competent. I don't know if I understand what makes him singular.
Right. So I guess operating off this idea that somehow he is special, right? Like he has this uncanny knack for doing this job, for assassinating people, for going on these covert ops missions, and getting done whatever he needs to get done. If we operate on just the fact that that is true, then his character does seem like someone who's maybe not like emotionally there. Like he's not attached to all of this stuff. It's like, oh,
yes.
if you can kill so easily, there's probably some kind of like something there that has stunted you emotionally, that you don't feel the same things that other people feel. And so in that sense, I could see how he would be the gray man, as he is just this kind of emotionless, like unstoppable force, right? And that is like he's not one way or the other. Like he's not like, oh my God, I get to kill someone today. Oh, thanks, operator. Like, wow, glad I got my coffee this morning, right? Like he's not like that, where it's like, oh my God, you're too happy, or he's not like so like sad or depressed or angry that he has to do. Like he's just he's straight faced.
Yeah,
he does
sort
his
of
job,
a guy,
and happens to be real good at it, right? So he is in this like middle of the road gray area, not black or white. I can see how it would fit for both of them.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who do you think the gray man is? That's what I want to know.
I told you, I thought it was him.
Cool. So let's get more into let's get into Chris Evans's character here a bit.
I think he is the highlight of the film. I think you can really tell that he has worked with these directors several times before. I think he really livens up the movie. He's having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And this is a movie that has some cool costumes in it. I love that white floral suit that Ana de Armas is wearing the first time we meet her. We see Ryan Gosling in this really interesting red suit. But when Chris Evans gets on screen, his individual costume pieces aren't as notable, but he wears them. I think this is something he's very good at. Chris Evans truly wears clothes. He owns that giant cable knit sweater he wears in Knives Out. He like really rocks every look you put him in. He owns up to it. He owns this mustache and these like weird old polo shirts.
It's interesting because, yeah, it's an action movie that's taking place in modern day time. However, he distinctly has a fashion sense in this movie that is straight out of the like 50s and 60s.
Yes, he looks like a mean neighborhood dad from like Edward Scissorhands or something.
Right,
he looks completely out of time.
Like absolutely looks like he's in like Dr. No or Thunderball, right? Like he'd fit in with that. If you walked on that set, he'd fit in. Whereas everyone else is in, these like. There's some fancier fashion in this for sure, but yeah, it is modern day times, modern styling. It's just like, wow, Chris Evans just does not fit in, and that is kind of the remark, right? Like in that extended scene that we saw back on Netflix, Geek Week, is the first time that Lloyd and Six meet in person, and they fight, and they like Lloyd gets Six backed up against the wall with like a gun to his head or something like that, and he's like, oh, you must be Lloyd. He's like, oh, what gave me away? He's like, well, the mustache and the pants and like this. He's like,
yeah.
That leans Lloyd like that. I just like, who's named Lloyd these days?
Yes, exactly.
Right. Which if you're watching this and your name is Lloyd, leave a comment down below.
Please.
We'd love to
we want to hear from modern
you.
Lloyds.
Yeah. What is your fashion sense? But yeah, he stands out in a way that is so different from everyone else that I liked a lot. I do think he's also really just kind of chewing up the scenery in this. I think he's having a lot of fun playing this, like, morally gray, obviously kind of leaning towards more evil than not, but just he's playing the bad guy. He's playing the antagonist, and as someone who plays Captain America so damn well, like, he just like, let me knock this out of the park so I don't get typecasted in any other things.
Has. And I think he's really done a great job of like not being typecast into that role. He can play like the absolutely sincere, like the big buff blonde American hero, and he can play all of these variations on it. All these variations of the bad boy. Yeah.
But that said, like, as an MCU fan, I still think I was like, oh, that's Captain America versus the Blade Runner guy who was also in Remember the Titans, and I remember him in that doing his little like country dance, right?
Speaking of which, I've been trying to track like actor appearances on the review show, not in any official capacity. Yeah. I don't have like IMDb open next to a spreadsheet. I'm just thinking about it. I'm just trying to see what I remember. Welcome to the Three Timers Club, Chris Evans. We have watched Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Congratulations.
We have watched Knives Out. That also puts Ana de Armas in the Two Timers Club. Ryan Gosling in the Two Timers Club. Alfre Woodard in the Two Timers Club.
Mm-hmm.
We watched Scrooge a couple years ago, one of my faves. Yeah. And Jessica Henwick we saw just earlier this year in Matrix Resurrections.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, man, star-studded cast. Have we seen Billy Bob Thornton in?
Not that I recall, else? But like I said, I got to go combing through stuff.
I gotcha.
I don't remember everything.
I gotcha. Yeah, to jump back real quick to Chris Evans' character, I also liked there's not very much. I mean, there is, and most of the comedy comes from Chris Evans's character in this. But I was about to say there's not much comedy in this, but not only is he the villain, he is also the comedic relief in just the way he talks to people.
Yeah,
the references he makes. There's a very meta reference that he makes like 2/3 of the way in the film that I was just like, okay, that's funny. But then he also makes a reference to Babe, which I am like one of the only people that I know that still references Babe and says the exact line that he does, just like, that'll do, pig. That'll do. And he says that in this film, and I'm just like, it's a Babe reference. I love it.
Arms in the air, cheering.
Right, just like the same way that when I saw the Akira slide in Nope, I was just like, it's the Akira slide. But later on, there's a scene where Six is handcuffed to a bridge in the middle of this firefight, like trying to stay out of everyone's way. There's a gun not too far off that he's trying to reach, and no one can shoot him because the local police are out there fighting all these mercenaries, all of this stuff. And Chris Evans is getting mad that no one is shooting him. Like, why? Like, just guy, shoot the guy handcuffed to the thing. And at one point, he says, I forget exactly what he says, but he's like, "Will someone please shoot this life-size Ken doll?" I'm just like, oh my god.
Literally, he is Ken.
Exactly. Like he's playing Ken in the upcoming Barbie movie. So I'm just like, I wonder if that was actually in the script or if this is just Chris Evans like having fun and making it up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that is I mean, let's be honest, they're both handsome as fuck, but Ryan Gosling has also been the like teen heartthrob, like in the like I see Ryan Gosling more in the like romantic comedy than Chris Evans is.
Right, he's got a softness,
but yeah.
A gentility to him that makes Ryan Gosling the meme of the romantic heartthrob. Yes.
Yeah. So for him to just be like this Ken doll of a person is just like, well, yeah, it fits even if he wasn't playing that role. Right.
We all know.
So I thought that was really funny that they put that in there. But besides that, yeah, not much comedy. That and
not
the
really.
Bubblicious scene.
There's some banter between Six and Claire, who is Billy Bob Thornton's niece that he has adopted. And he's got like one more mission he has to go do. And he's like, I want you to go to the house and like protect her.
Yeah.
She's I liked her. I don't know if her character gets to do a lot, but I think that young actress did a great job. I think she performed very well.
Yeah. What was her name? Do we?
I did not catch the actress's name.
The actress's name is Julia Butters. Yeah. So she I thought she was fantastic in the time that she got on screen. But this is that like emotional like weight of the movie. What did you think about that and like the relationship between Six and again I forget her name, Claire.
I liked it okay. I don't like, there's nothing except for recognizing both of these actors are doing a good job. Like there's nothing especially charming about it. But I like any time that people have bonded to each other when the other person isn't filling a clear role in your life. Like Claire's father recently died, and Billy Bob Thornton has stepped in, like her uncle, to formally adopt her. So she's not like missing something that like Ryan Gosling neatly slips into. It's not like Ryan Gosling had like a kid's sister or his own niece or something like that. I like when we have a bonding relationship that isn't two perfectly neat puzzle pieces that fit together. Like, oh, of course, you've been what I've been looking for.
Right, yeah. Because it's not the same as his younger brother, where it's like if this had been Lloyd's like younger sister, and the sister is kind of being swept up in the collateral of all of this, and Ryan has to pick like, well, do I stick with my team and get the job done, or do I protect this younger child who's like if that was the plot, like that would have been like, oh, okay, he's seeing his younger brother in this. I understand, but yeah, that's not the case. He just kind of happens to be there and it's like, look, I have to make sure you stay alive. That's it. Like, I'm just here doing a job.
Right. Yeah. But he does take care of her. I do think it's an interesting addition that she has heart problems and she's got a pacemaker, which you don't often see on a young person. Definitely makes you concerned for her. I like that she has that condition, but she isn't an overall sickly kid. Like you get to see her being fairly healthy, like living a fairly normal life given the circumstances. I appreciated that she didn't have this health and condition and also wasn't like, I feel weak.
No, she ought to be super sassy also she like I thought she was probably one of the most fun characters with the least screen time. I feel like, so that made her really stand out.
I I like that they didn't play the sympathy card as hard with her as they could have. She's got an interesting obsession with like record players and old records. Like not like she had, I think she had like a Bleachers album. Like she's got records of contemporary bands, but also like old records. Like this Silverbird song, I've never heard it. I liked to hear it. I liked getting to know this song. But it's not like she's even into like the old bands that are cool for young people to be into now. And she's got a Polaroid camera. She's got this interesting sort of obsession with old technology that I wish we had like another reference point for. Like if we heard her like actually talk about why she likes records, why she likes Polaroids. And I know that sort of vintage throwback stuff is popular with the youth now in general, but I wanted to hear her talk about it. Like why her specifically, how that fits into her life, how she feels about it, why she loves this record player instead of loving like a Bluetooth speaker.
Right. Like was this her father's record player? Is there some connection there? Where's the mom? Is the mom in the...
Mom's also dead. They both died.
Right, yeah. So, like, there's just none of these, like, slower, let's figure out who these characters are.
Yeah. I really wish...
I was just going to say same thing for 6. Like, he's on screen most of the time. Really, the only thing we know about him is that he killed his dad to protect his brother.
And loves gum.
That's it. Yeah. Likes Bubblicious.
I really wish I had a better sense of the relationship between 6 and Ana de Armas, whose name I don't even remember. Ana de Armas is just such a fun name to say on its own. I'd love to say it. Love to see her. Where she's like his...
Danny Miranda was her name.
Danny Miranda.
What a great name.
That is also fun. Okay. Yeah. Danny Miranda. What a treat to say. Like she's his handler, his partner. Mm-hmm. I wish I knew more about like how long they've been together. Are they like is he the only agent who she handles? Are they like dedicated partners to each other? Were they assigned each other? Did they choose each other? How many missions did they go on? Like, what is their dynamic? Like, I'm not saying like, I want to see them have a romance, so they have to have a romance, but what are their non-professional feelings about each other when they're on a mission? If they have an extra day, are they like, do you want to go to the beach? Dude, I heard there's a cool bar in town. We don't have to kill anyone there, but do you want to go? Right.
Yeah. Like I think some of the stuff it's missing for its side characters is the scene in like the more recent Bond movies where like Bond shows up to I forget which character it was Q, I think, right?
He goes to Q's house and Q's getting ready for a date.
Exactly, yeah. And you're like you find out, okay, so he has a dating life. Oh, he's gay. Okay, interesting. Like you're starting to learn more about him, right? Like like even just smaller stuff like that. Like we got one or two things for these characters, but not enough of these things here.
Yeah. I do want something a little richer than love of gum.
And I mean, I guess the whole saying of like, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum really fits for 6 here. I'm all out of
Bubblicious watermelon specifically. I'll settle for nothing else. Don't give me that Trident.
Go ahead.
I also, speaking of this team, I also want to mention I'm not sure why, but I liked that the corrupt person at the top was a fairly young guy. Sure. I mean, you've seen like smarmy young upstart bosses in various contexts, whether it be business or some sort of government top secret spy agency.
Sure, yeah.
But I like that there wasn't really anybody above him. Like it was just him. Like, wow, to build this much corruption up and you're only like 36 years old, that's kind of unique.
That's accomplished, right?
Yeah. And I like that the team, these other agents you don't really see. You just sort of see them like checking in on their earpieces and like that first assassination attempt at the New Year's Eve party. It's a bunch of hot young people and then like one chubby middle-aged guy. And I was very curious
corruption
about
on him too. Good God.
Like, what's his life like? He's
Right?
like the second oldest person in the team besides Billy Bob Thornton and the retired Alfre Woodard, who we check back in with later. I wish we learned a little bit more about what this squad's dynamic is. How does like the one old guard guy feel about all of these beautiful young people joining the team? What do they think of him? Do they treat him like he's their dad?
Right. Yeah. Which hopefully this sequel and spinoff explores a little bit more of this world so that we can build it out and like find out who these characters are. What is this team that's working behind the scenes here?
Mm-hmm.
Which is how does everything work? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we get to flesh out more of those characters, which leads me to kind of my next question here. So we briefly touched on this just a couple days ago when you and I were recording for the Captain's Log, just about how like newer IP is kind of hard for people to get into nowadays, and I think hard for these media companies to really invest in because they don't know if it's going to be a big hit or not, and it's kind of safer for them to be like, oh, you like Marvel? Well, here's 10 more Marvel things, right? And they know that that'll make them money and that people will go see it, all that stuff, right? So something like this, something like The Gray Man is potentially more of a risk for someone like Netflix, for a company like Netflix to invest in. Do you feel like this would make a good franchise? Because I mean, at the start, we compared this to Mission Impossible and James Bond. Like, it is in that same vein. Do you see Netflix kind of building something out like that with this here?
I want to say I think it is a safer bet than a lot of other things, because even if I know it's based on a book, but like I've never heard of the book, I don't know the popularity or following of the book.
Sure.
But just given that this is so solidly comparable to larger franchises, it's coming from directors and stars of larger franchises that people know. This feels like a safer bet than other original movies they could be putting out. And I'd like to hear about additional films. I think this movie didn't really give me things to be interested in, but it made me wish I had things to be interested in. It didn't give me a set up enough of this culture, of this dynamic within the team and how this whole Sierra team works. But I wanted that. And if I heard that they had a sequel where they really gave me that, I would watch it then. But if it was just more assassinations, another cat and mouse game, I don't think I'd return.
I gotcha.
Yesterday, I watched John Wick for the first time.
Okay.
I hadn't seen John Wick yet. And this is a movie that I knew so much from just secondhand. I knew how much it impressed people. I knew that it went on to have like 3 sequels. It's supposed to have like a spin-off TV show. And watching that first movie, so much of that is already there. You can tell that this is a world that has mythology and lore and like long character relationships where these characters have a lot of backstory with each other. There's so much for you to learn, and that first movie conveys there is so much for you to learn. If you check in with us again, we will tell you more. And this movie, I really didn't feel that at all.
Interesting. Because like I feel like they had enough of a star-studded cast in this that wasn't too overwhelming with like, oh my God, you're really gunning for like all the star. Like, I think what was the Netflix movie Red Notice a couple months ago, where that had like Gail Gadot and Ryan Reynolds and it had a number of
The Rock
people. Yeah, it had like so many.
Finally,
people in
Wonder
it.
Woman, Black Adam, the Green Lantern nobody likes together.
Yeah, but like I've not heard good things about that one. Of just like hey, it was mostly just look at these actors that everyone likes on screen. And that was it. Whereas this, I felt, has more substance than that. It
does.
It is like, hey, look at these look at these good actors. Maybe there's not as many, but I think it builds up enough where it's like, if they wanted to do a prequel series for Chris Evans and his thing, they could do that. If they want to continue the story with Ryan Gosling, they can. If they wanted to do the one that focused on a Darmus, of more of the like behind the scenes stuff and how she got to be like, they could do that stuff. Like it's there, but you're right. Like I think because they're trying to fit so much of the action and the set pieces and all, like it feels more like a proof of concept rather than like, okay, let's make a movie where the core team is a team that you really care about and you will want to see them in the sequel or stuff like that. Yeah. If they don't make a sequel with this, or if it gets canceled or who knows what, then it's just like, all right, that's fine. Cool. First one was good movie. That's about it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but I do think there are at least pathways for them to explore.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, like this movie doesn't have to be a dead end, but I wish the movie did end with more of a signpost for, we've introduced these concepts, wait to see what else we have to tell you about them. You know, we're really going to dig into Jessica Henwick's character.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think as Netflix is kind of hitting this plateau that they've realized they've hit and stuff like that, I think they really need to start investing in things like that where they can build a franchise off of something, right? Because like I feel like Netflix's strategy has been to, as they've grown, to throw more money at more projects, and then when more people subscribe or they get more investors, they do the same thing. They throw more money at more projects, and it's never like continuations of, except for some of their TV shows, but they don't have a like, what is their version of James Bond or Mission Impossible? Could be this, but they don't have that. What is their version of Harry Potter? What is their Marvel Cinematic Universe? What is their Terminator? Like they don't really have that stuff. They might have a solo movie that is like, it's like, okay, I can see how this would be a Terminator knockoff, and I'm not even asking them to make knockoffs of these things, but like, what is
it's just equivalencies?
Right, so, but it doesn't go anywhere because by the time they're done with that, they're throwing money at something else. And so I feel like they need to kind of build up these franchises to get more loyalty, if that's the right way to think about it, right? Of just like a reason you want to come back to Netflix, right? And not just canceling your subscription and then waiting for, okay, maybe there was one or two things stacked up that I can check out, but they need something like, the new Gray Man movie is out. This is the third one. I cannot miss this, right?
Yeah, you've got a point. I think they've got like TV series with really strong fan followings, like a Stranger Things.
The Witcher, stuff like that too.
Yeah, but I don't know if any of their movies have that going. When I think of the movies where I know they've made sequels, it's like Tall Girl 2, To All the Boys I've Loved Before Again. I don't even know if that's one of them, but it's like the sort of lighter, like romantic comedy adjacent movies. I can't think of I think they made like another Army of the Dead or a spinoff of Army of the Dead.
Yes.
They don't have like a blockbuster franchise in the movie department the way they do in the TV department.
Yeah. They've started some things. I know they have a deal with Mark Millar, who writes a bunch of comics and stuff. He's the one that wrote Civil War, the Marvel comic. He wrote Kick-Ass. He wrote Old Man Logan, which is what they kind of turned into Logan. So they have a deal with him and his like independent stuff, so they're kind of building up all of that. They have a deal with Zack Snyder to build out his like Army of the Dead world or whatever that is. Like they have the start of some things, but I don't know if they're like those things aren't drawing in people like they would. Or like I feel like what I'm trying to get at, if that makes sense, right? Like,
but also I feel like
they have Stranger Things. Could they do a Stranger Things movie that is not about these kids? That's about like, can they build that franchise
maybe
out?
In the future? Because I know there's going to be some sort of spinoff project from Stranger Things after it wraps up, but I don't know movie or TV show or what. Now that you mention it, I'm not sure if any of these platforms have strong movie franchises. I think it is all ongoing TV series. Every time there's a successful movie, sometimes you hear about the sequel, but I don't know if I've heard about anybody going to a platform, like Amazon Prime isn't doing The Day After the Tomorrow War. Stay tuned for the next month war, the next year war.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I feel like they really need to start investing to build up these franchises to be like tent poles of their service. But yeah, that goes to say they could do something like that with the Gray Man, or could start it. But yeah, this movie was solid. Maybe not the start that it should have been, if that's what they're gonna do with this. So who knows? Who knows what? We have to talk about some of these action scenes here. We haven't even really talked about them yet. There's a whole action scene on a plane as it's being like ripped apart, and they're falling through the sky, and they get kicked off with no parachutes, and like all that. Like, good Lord, there's all sorts of stuff. What was your favorite like set piece action moment of the film here?
I think in terms of like literal setting, I really liked whatever club they were in that opening scene for the New Year's Eve party. And I really love that like chateau, that like castle in Croatia where the climax of the movie is. But like I said earlier, I feel like these set pieces aren't filmed in a way that feels really immersive. Like there aren't a lot of like wide, lingering, establishing setting shots. It really lets you soak into just the building that they picked. But my favorite like actual action sequence, I think, it's really small, but it's when Six goes to that guy who's going to set him up with like a fake passport and like all these fake papers. And so he goes to the guy, and the guy has to like take his passport photo, and he's asking him all these questions. And he's talking about what name he's going to pick, which he doesn't. You won't see him pick like a new alias. But all the questions the guy is asking him are like, what emotion do you want your name to provoke? Do you want to be forgettable? How do you create a forgettable name? Do you want to be sympathetic? Well, how do you make a sympathetic name? He's drilling him with all these questions, and he's flashing all these like camera flash bulbs in his face as he takes these photos. And like Ryan Gosling's sort of blinded, and then suddenly a trap door opens up underneath his feet, and he plummets into this like holding cell that this guy had. And then the guy like calls back to the team like, I've got your bounty. I caught him. And then there is the interesting scene where he has to like break out, where there's like a water pipe down there, and he bangs the water pipe so it breaks, and he can like float up to the surface and like claw out of the trap door. I thought that was interesting. I really wish we did get it, like in the context of another scene. How do you pick an alias name? Like, I want more logistics about how do you go undercover? How do you disappear like this? In the opening scene where like he he meets Ana de Armas and they have that like, exchange of code words like, I like your suit. I wear the suit they tell me to wear. Why are they told to wear these suits? Who picked out those suits for them? Why those? Yeah. I want to learn so much more about just your presentation of yourself as this undercover agent out in public and how you make yourself stand out or disappear as needed. And I really liked, I love anytime a trapdoor is introduced when you have no idea a trapdoor is in play. That's always so much fun.
Always a delight to see.
Yeah, because I'm putting trapdoors on the bingo card next year.
Right? Yeah, that should absolutely be on there. The thing is, it doesn't really happen in modern movies. Like, I feel like that's like old school cartoons from the 90s. Like, it's one of those things of like, I thought quicksand was gonna be a much more of a threat to me in my life.
I've never seen a trapdoor in real life.
Right. Like you just don't, like, you see it in old cartoons, but not in real life. So I feel like modern day movies, like live action movies that depict one, is just like, oh, hey, a trapdoor! What a delight!
Yeah.
So that's good. That's fun. Let's see. Yeah, I think for me, my favorite action scene is that bit on the plane as it is falling apart. I do have to say, though, once they are outside of the plane and they're falling, that I could kind of care less for, because it was all CGI and the camera was moving way too fast, and that's how they hid the not so great CGI and all that stuff. But yeah, when they're on the plane itself and it is like tearing apart and like chunks of it are coming off and exploding, and it's like those scenes to me are always so tense, because it's always the fight for like that one last parachute. Things are moving around and bumping, and you're like, yeah, it's always so tense for me to see stuff like that, because the stakes are always so high that if you fall out, like you're a goner. Like, that's it, you're done. So yeah, I liked that a lot. I do have to say it was weird to me. So this, one of my critiques of this movie is that I feel like a lot of the CGI in this, in a lot of cases, is not great. It's very, very good. Let's be clear, but it's like just below what I would usually expect for most movie things, but it's still better than like most TV shows and all that. Like, it's in this weird gray area. That it's like, it's bad enough that I can tell. It's like, oh, that was fake. Those muzzle flashes are fake. Those bullet ricochets are fake. Like, all of it, like, and certain like weird things were also faked in this, or seemed fake. I would love to know if this one particular scene was fake. So when Ryan Gosling is driving up to the plane that they get on, and they're in, I forget exactly where, if they're in like Thailand or some place like that, but he's driving up in this like rickety little cart, this little like blue, like almost like three-wheel vehicle. As that's driving up, I think that's CGI. I think the vehicle is CGI, because then it pulls up, it parks, and then the scene cuts to him like just slightly outside of it already. So it's like, did they not have much time to film here? Did they like not get permission to use these vehicles somehow? Was that outside of their budget and they had to just CGI it in? Like, it's one of those things of like, it's in that uncanny valley of like, if it's real, like, sure, I would believe it, but if you also told me that was CGI, because it kind of looks CGI, I'd be like, yeah, But then why is it CGI? Like, why couldn't you just get this shot of him driving? Like, why is this CGI? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Yeah,
So
who
I
knows
would
what
love
sort of,
to
like-
know, if that actually
Yeah, like,
is.
what- Yeah, who
CGI.
knows what technical issues like happened on the day? Like the weather was bad, the
Yeah.
car broke suddenly, and we had like no replacement parts. It's a
Some, like,
weird car. We couldn't
legal
get anything
thing
in.
they can't
Yeah.
do, or some union thing they can't do. Yeah, who knows? I was just, why is that CGI? It looks CGI. But yeah, I mean, it's like this CGI still looks really good, but it was just like that. Not like, is that like you're like squinting and like rubbing your eyes, right? Like, is that CGI? What? Why? So, anyways, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's solid enough, and there's some good performances in it. Again, really cool, like some set pieces and costumes. I just wish we got a little bit more time with certain elements of the film.
Absolutely.
Felt a little bit more lived in.
Absolutely. Okay. I think that's about all I have to say on The Gray Man. Go check it out. Good stuff. Melissa, let us check in on Bingo now.
Bingo!
I am pulling it up in a sec here. It is loading. Geez, taking a long time to load. Why is that? What is happening here? That's real slow. Okay, let's pull this up on screen. Oops, I am zoomed in. Let me zoom out on that guy. There we go. Okay. Man, we're down to the wire on some of these things. So it's real tough for us to get this unless we pitch specific things that we know has this stuff in there. Which we might have to start.
Which wouldn't be bad.
Doing. Yeah,
I'd love an entire week of like stories featuring a spaceship that has its own AI.
Right? Yeah. Which we don't have that. We don't have a character that connects to computers. We don't have the reaction of an animal to judge trustworthiness. Meeting yourself thanks to time travel. No time to eat breakfast? Was that in there?
No.
No mysterious scar. No Hans Zimmer score. No tall bag of groceries. No locked room mystery. No expository
For clarification, it's not the size of the bag, it's the size of the groceries in the bag. It is the baguette or celery sticking out of the groceries.
Yeah. I don't think we have a move that we can make here.
No.
On either side. Bummer. So not much of a check-in on Bingo. But how about we do recommendations?
Yeah.
So Melissa, if people liked this, what else might they enjoy?
Like I mentioned earlier, I just watched John Wick for the first time. If you haven't seen it yet, it is as good as people say. I understand the hype. I had a lot of fun watching John Wick, and it was delightful to see Lance Reddick pop up in there.
There you go.
I think I knew he was in it, but I had forgotten. So it was a beautiful surprise when I get to see him.
Good stuff.
Last week, you and I, while I was on vacation, went to see Bullet Train in the theater.
That's one that
we talked about that on our
recommend. Yeah, so I second that.
On our episode 200 Captain's Log, we recapped the movie and we went to see it in a 40X theater. So it's like we got to ride the movie. We jostled around. Sprays water in our face.
Yeah.
Bullet Train is so much fun. And that is a movie that I think really lives in its set pieces, really shows off whatever setting it is in, makes the best use of that train as a setting. It's shot really well. It's beautiful. It's really funny. And that is a movie where you can feel more of like, oh, there's some lore here. There's the ongoing character dynamics. Like this world feels lived in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I would recommend the James Bond movies. If you watch the recent Daniel Craig ones, when you get to the final one, No Time to Die, Ana de Armas is in that. She's got a brief scene. She's in it for like one mission, one set piece, but she's so much fun in that one scene.
Yeah, absolutely. She's great. in that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, besides James Bond, Mission Impossible is always a great one to check out.
Hard to beat Mission Impossible.
Hard to beat that, indeed. I would also say there's a movie on Netflix called The Old Guard, which is based off some comics of the same name, written by Greg Rucka, who I believe also wrote the movie that they did on Netflix, which is why it is a great adaptation of those comics. But I would check that out. That is an action movie on Netflix that I think has a different flavor or different spin than a lot of them do. It is basically a team of like immortal assassins, and they're not. I mean, they are immortal, but they aren't. They can die if certain things happen. Like their time will come, but they just haven't found that time yet. So, for all they know, they're immortal. And yeah, great action scenes, great team dynamic. There's some betrayal in there. It's fantastic. I highly recommend that movie. It is a great one. I'd say go check that out. Let's see, other kind of I didn't get to finish it, but even watching Tenet, they took it off. I started it. I made it 2/3 of the way through, and I got tired, and I wanted to go to bed, so I did. Came back the next day, and they took it off HBO Max. I was so mad. But I would say even Tenet for just the military, CIA, FBI, that kind of if you like action movies with that kind of setting and action and the jargon, the way they speak, all of the
very jargony movie.
That stuff, yeah.
Also a well-dressed movie. Nothing as flashy as the outfits in this movie. We don't have any floral suits, but everyone looks good in that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say go check that stuff out. So there you go. Those are our recommendations.
Kyle, it is my turn for pitches for next month. Next week.
Yeah, bring it on.
All right. I was thinking of next month because we are coming up on Shame-tember, the month where you and I both get to watch movies that are on our list of shame that we can't believe we've never seen before.
Yep.
Shame-tember coming up soon.
Next
time
week, I pitch will be a Shame-tember pitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
For my pitches, I was thinking it's the end of summer. We got to fit in one more party. I have 3 TV shows about parties.
Okay. Interesting.
Pitch number 1, the 2009 comedy series Party Down. This is on Hulu and it is 10 episodes. This half-hour comedy follows a Los Angeles catering team. The sextet of aspiring Hollywood actors and writers, as well as drifting lost souls, work small-time catering gigs while hoping for their break or some positive change in their lives. Each episode finds the team working a new event and inevitably getting tangled up in the colorful, affluent guests and their absurd lives.
Okay, interesting.
Have you ever heard of this show?
I haven't.
I remember seeing ads for it in TV Guide, and it's the whole cast all wearing these nice matching cater waiter suits.
Yeah.
But it was on Stars or something. It was on some premium cable channel I didn't have at the time. And now it's readily available to me on Hulu. I thought I'd check it out. Cool. Stars, among others, Adam Scott, Jane Lynch, and Martin Starr, who is Spider-Man's sad science teacher.
There you go. Good stuff.
Pitch number 2. This is a show called The After Party. This is a new show from earlier this year, maybe late last year, on Apple TV, which I don't know if you have access to, but there's many things I would like to pitch off of Apple TV.
I could do a trial if need be. Yeah.
Yeah, if you are a like Target rewards member, if you're part of like Target Circle, which like it isn't like the credit card, it's just like the free like app for Target, you can get like a 3 or 4 month trial of Apple TV for free.
Interesting.
So I recommend you do that because there is a lot to see. The After Party, this is 8 episodes. When a high school reunion's after party ends in a stunning death, everyone is a suspect. A detective grills the former classmates one by one, uncovering potential motives as each tells their version of the story, culminating in the shocking truth. This is a comedy series, and every episode is styled after a different genre. So with each person that the detective is talking to, telling their story, flashing back to like what happened before, it takes on different styles and different genre conventions. Jack has watched all of this before. Friend of the show, Jack, and she really recommends it.
Good stuff. Good to know.
Pitch number 3 is Search Party. This is a 2016 show. Season 1 is 10 episodes. This is on HBO Max. Search Party is a dark comedy about 4 self-absorbed 20-somethings who become entangled in an ominous mystery when a former college acquaintance suddenly disappears. I don't know a lot about the show, but I know it is very well regarded. It went on to have like 5 seasons. I think it's a show that takes like big, weird swings. This seems like a really wild show.
Okay.
Yeah. It seems like it's, I don't know. I think Search Party, I was looking at like the basic descriptions for each season on Wikipedia, and it starts with here, and season 5 ends with the main character becoming a cult leader.
Okay. Like one does?
So, yeah, you know. So we can watch Party Down, The After Party, or Search Party.
Okay. I'm going to go with pitch number 2, the one from Apple TV. The After Party. Yeah.
Good. I am glad.
That one sounds interesting. I like this idea of like this like Rashomon style story, but each flashback takes on a different genre. That sounds really, really neat to me. And you know me, I love a good detective story too. So
right?
Yeah. The After Party on Apple TV. Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
I hope you enjoy this. I hope you stick around with Apple TV Plus. There are like 2 other shows I've really been wanting to pitch off of Apple TV, and I've just been like waiting for the right week. So, and maybe keep the trial around for a little while. For sure. See if you can.
We will do that.
Or I will pay you $5 for us to watch For All Mankind.
Do that. I might pay for it for a little while because I know Severance is on there. And
I really love Severance.
Like that.
I would love for you to watch Severance.
I watched basically everything I wanted to watch on Paramount Plus, so I need to cancel my subscription to that. So I might just be like, well, let me cancel that and then pay for Apple for a couple months here. And do all of that stuff. So there you go. Good stuff. That is what we shall do next week. Keep in mind, though, the week after that is also the end of the month, in which we will be covering the 5th and final season of Fringe. So be sure to watch that final season along with us, and we will cover that in 2 weeks. Next week.
Then after that, though. Shame Timber.
Shame. Cool. This has been fun. This is a good one. I enjoyed this. Well, that's about it. Let's wrap things up. So, Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And as I mentioned earlier, check out Saturday Morning Obscurities.
There you go. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter. And if you guys would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at the Whatnauts on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a ton. We'd love it if you check out some more of our shows. This has been number 218 of the Whatnauts review show. We will see you all next time, and be on the lookout for Shame Timber.
Haha.
Bye.